So here is my Christmas film review, and it is a Christmas film, and I'll justify that when I have to. But let's talk about 1993's The Nightmare Before Christmas, sometimes called Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, but that was literally added on by Disney to make sure people went to see it. You can look that up. So this was directed by Henry Selick, but the characters and the story were created by Burton himself. It was adapted by Michael McDowell, and then the screenplay was written by Caroline Thompson. It stars such a great cast. We have Chris Sarandon and Danny Elfman both voicing Jack Skellington for talking and singing respectively, Catherine O'Hara, Paul Rubens, Ken Page, Ed Ivory, William Hickey, Greg Proops even appears. It's such a great cast, and I have loved this film since I grew up with it. Even watching it now, I know there's things that don't work so well, there's things that you look and go, that's not amazingly good, but it's still fine. You can still watch it because stop motion has a timeless quality in some aspects. It's still perfectly fine now, even better now, because we're on screens where we can see the fine details like the pumpkin in Zero's nose. When I first watched it years ago, I did not see that clearly. Now I can see it so clearly, and it's beautiful. I do think, as well as Selick's direction, I think we do have to give a quick hat tip to Pete Kozaczyk, who was the director of photography. There are shots in here that would not be out of place in live action, or even CG, where you've obviously got control of the entire environment at once. But it's just so well done, considering that they have to make sure that the camera movements are smooth, whilst also making sure that they're doing the character movements and making those as smooth as possible. And it just works so beautifully. I can't remember, I watched the making of years and years and years ago, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was computer-assisted sort of tracking of the camera motions, because it is so well done. But this is one of those that, yeah, I've grown up with it and I've looked at it over time, and every time I come to it, I take something different. And this time, I felt very much it is kind of like a stay-in-your-lane film, in some ways. The idea that Jack goes on this journey to get out of a rut and fails miserably, and then goes back to doing what he did before. It could read as a stay-in-your-lane tale. Now, I don't think it is for a number of reasons. One of them being that when Danny Elfman was writing the songs, he was drawing on his own experience as the frontman of Oingo Boingo, and wanting to do something different after being with the band for so long. And I don't think he'd write something that says, I should have just gone back to Oingo Boingo. I know obviously he wasn't the only person involved, but also I did get the impression during one of my favourite songs in the entire piece, Poor Jack, that really what we're meant to take away, and I know interpretations are all subjective, but I get the feeling that it's more a case of you will get stuck in these ruts, and you could lean into it and go, well, this is what I know and I'll play it safe. But it's better to try something new and to fail, because what happened with Jack is he tried this thing, it didn't work out, and he suddenly realised who he was. So he's come back with a renewed vigour, a renewed interest in, yes, doing what he was doing before, but doing that to the best of his ability. He's realised that that's where his strengths lie. So I don't think this is a down film that's saying don't do anything different, stay in your lane, do what you've always done. It is saying try new things. Sometimes they won't work out. And I think that's great. And it's only through this conflict, through this challenge and, like I say, subsequent failure, that the relationship between these two happens. It's that connection when he suddenly realises that, oh, Sally was trying to warn me, she cares about me. Okay, I like that. But that's why I've chosen this picture behind me, because yes, it's a Christmas film, it's a sort of horror light, sort of family-friendly horror film, but there's also a wonderful romantic story there. And yeah, okay, it's only a shortened version of things, it's a very compressed relationship, but that's all we see. It is over the course of a year, remember. But there's a lot here to love, and that's why it's always been a part of who I am in some ways. I've taken a lot from this film, consciously and subconsciously, over the years, and I still love it. Like, all of the music here, I love the fact that This Is Halloween sets up the feeling straight away. It's light, it's whimsical, but creepy. It's Danny Elfman's wheelhouse, of course. And all of these songs do service the narrative. I love Sally's song. I think it's perfect for that type of character. And like I say, Poor Jack is one of my favourites because it starts on that low note of self-pity, but it comes through a sort of recovery and rejuvenation and a resolve, and all the R words. But it is this resolve, and that's what leads him back, saving Sandy and Sally from Oogie Boogie. And I do want to touch on that very briefly. So, Something that I never really picked up on. I always thought of it as kind of like an homage to the Cab Calloway, Betty Boop kind of cartoons. It's definitely got that feel, the character. However, Caroline Thompson was concerned that it might be considered a bit of a racist character to have. In some of the ways it's played, apparently Oogie Boogie was also a derogatory term for African American people in the South at one point. And this bit I can sort of see, but not at the same time. The hoodie kind of look of the top of Oogie's head could be considered as 3 repetitions of a certain letter. I get it. I understand it. I would like to believe, at least, that this was not an intentional thing. It was just a happenstance. And because of Thompson's background as living in the South, she was more perhaps sensitive to that than others. I mean, now, would it still work? I don't know. But I've never heard anyone in the years since, almost 30 years since, talk about that. And Ken Page, being a black actor, was happy to play the role. Now, that might be, he felt that, okay, I probably should. But it might be a case of he didn't see any problem with it. Whether he saw the visuals, I don't know. But it is something that I think, yes, we do have to be aware of. I will acknowledge that, but I've never seen it. But obviously, I'm not quite the right coloration to really notice that. But even with that, you know, I do love this film. I love the one moment that, as an adult now, this is how I see it, of when Sally and Sandy have been saved. They're sort of leaning in, and then the mayor, as I call it, bone blocks the pair of them with lock, shock and barrel. Like I say, there's so much here that, you know, I'm still picking up on and still commenting on and still going, oh, that's a thing. And that's why I love it. So yes, I said I would justify the fact that it's a Christmas film. Well, it takes place around Christmas for a lot of it. Jack's whole motivation is to take over Christmas, so it's about Christmas. I know Halloween's featured, but it's about Christmas. Plus, we have Sandy Claus, and we have the gift of snow at the end. The first snow that Halloween Town has seen. So it's a Christmas film. If you're going to claim like Die Hard's a Christmas film and everything, this is more of a Christmas film than that, and I do not disagree with Die Hard being one. So, yeah, one of my favourite Christmas films. I'm surprised it's taken me this long. I could have left it a year like I did with Ghostwatch and done it next year for a 30th anniversary, but they'll be doing their own 30th anniversary thing next year, so I'm not going to lean into that too much. Everyone will be doing it next year. I'm catching the wave before it happens. But I really love this. If somehow you've gone this far without seeing it and you like the kind of things I like, what is wrong with you? But seriously, give it a watch. I've spoiled what happens, but it's more about the journey. This is a film about the journey. Having fun with it, some great songs, and yeah, track down the Nightmare Revisited album. There's some really good covers on there. There's some less good covers, but it's quite a fun album. It's different, or it's a nice way to hear different interpretations of these songs. So yeah, thank you very much for letting me talk about one of my favourite films, finally, after far too long and not even realising I hadn't yet. I hope you're enjoying this holiday period with whatever you happen to celebrate, or not, as the case may be. And if you're one of those people who doesn't celebrate anything at this time of year, for whatever reason, don't let people make you feel weird about it. You do you. That's all that matters. But yes, like I say, thank you for letting me talk about this. Until next time, just before the new year, as always, thank you for watching, take care, and yeah, happy whatever.